Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Legacy Coderetreat Codecasts. Today we will talk about how to extract pure functions from legacy code. I wrote this blog post a couple of months ago, and you can read this before watching this codecast. A pure function is a function that will always evaluate the same result given the same arguments. Even more than that, a pure function will not cause any side effects to any systems. So usually what we mean when we talk about pure functions, we mean immutability. We have this code base, the usual trivia code base, and how we can spot places where we can apply this technique is by seeing which methods have multiple responsibilities. So the add method from the trivia codebase clearly has multiple responsibilities. Which one could we tackle with this technique, extract pure functions? In this blog post I chose the method add, and let's try to see how we could extract a pure function from it. This is the method add, and clearly this is a very good spot to use pure functions because it is very easy to extract a static function out of this. So first of all, let's try to extract from here a method, and let's say that this is something like write layer was added. I run the tests, everything's green. If I make this function static, it still works. This means that I extracted a static function, but because I have this system out print line, I cannot say that this function respects the concepts of extract pure function because I don't have yet a pure function. I cause some effects to the outside, and I'm not using only parameters given to me. This is basically a method that says something like create create layer was added message. This is again static. If I run the tests, everything works. We can also check out that we have coverage. So the system tests we wrote in the first blog post covered this part of the code. This is green, this is green, this is green. So the tests really cover all these changes, and this is very important to know at all steps. Now that I have this pure function, I can continue to test it, and this is very simple to test, right? I can make it public, and let's try to test. Public void create let's say player was added message is composed correctly. The only thing I need to do is have game, call this with Adi, this is the actual, assert equals Adi was added, this is the expected, and this is the actual. So now this thing works. Now if I would do the same thing with this one, right, player number added, I run the tests, I could try to make it static, but this won't work. Why? Because I have external non-static dependencies here. So clearly not everything can be made a pure function. So I want to go back here and I'd like to commit now. So I want to say that extracted method, static methods that write to the output from the add method. In order to make this a bit similar to the other, I need to make sure I don't pass an external dependency. So I want to rename this. I want to put this dependency outside my function. And in order to do that, I want to promote this as a parameter. So in this moment, if I run the tests, everything works. I can make it static and it still works. Let's commit again. Made the second method static for player for writing to the output the player number. If I want to extract a pure function from here, I can do this as well. And this would be something like create player was player number message, and this is static. I can make it public, and I could test it again like the other one. Player was at player number written, no, not written, player number composed correctly, probably something like player number message composed correctly, and the actual would be game, and I need to give it a number like 3, and then assert equals they are number player number 3, Okay, so it works. Let's commit, edit test for method, create player number message. What I'd like to do now is to put these things one on top of the other, and these two things start to look alike. They are ways of creating messages. These two things start to look alike. They are ways of writing to output some messages that are created in a way. I don't have enough proof now, but this is how extract pure function helps me to understand how I can improve the code, and it gives me enough proof with these kinds of small methods to start extracting them to their natural place, to their good responsibility class, not here where everything is so tangled. So remember please that when you create a pure function, it's not enough to be static. It should also be like this. It should use only the inputs, and remember that this kind of method is not static, is not pure function, even if it is static. And if you extract a method and you cannot make it static, then clearly you cannot make it pure function afterwards. You need to make some changes in the code so that you'd be able to send parameters like here instead of sending objects. Okay, so that was all for today. I want to thank you for watching, and as always, have fun coding.